Hello, everyone, and welcome back to, technically, an anime episode review. I am the Rat, and this is, in fact, the Rat's Nest. I am joined, as always, by Kyle. Say hi, Kyle.
Hello, everybody.
One Piece, episode 1071, and also General Gear 5 discussion. Welcome, everyone, to what could possibly be maybe the most unstructured anime episode review we will do, because we are going to be talking about the episode as we talk about it.
And just, unstructured discussion overall. Because, okay. Also,
There's a lot to say over this episode.
Let's preface it with saying this. Also, including the end of 1070, because I want to mention that. There's a lot to say, and we're not just going to talk about Gear 5 in itself. We're going to talk a lot about, like, the community and, like, the build-up to it. Because I feel like there's something with Gear 5 that just broke One Piece fans' brains, and so they decided to try breaking everyone else's brains. And it's led to a huge online controversy. And I think before we go any further, I can say in 3 words about the Gear 5 thing. Like, Gear 5 as a concept and as its adaptation, it is good.
Now, Kyle.
But there's strings attached.
Now, Kyle.
Yes.
Kind of sounded like you were taking the Dragon Ball fan side there.
There's no side I want to take here. It's been annoying handling this. Like, I'll be honest, guys.
I despise so much of the discourse around Gear 5. Because you got the annoying One Piece fans that are like, it's like, look, I love Gear 5. Gear 5 is awesome. It's my favorite shonen transformation. I don't think anything possibly could really ever top it for me. I love Gear 5, everything, the thematics, the everything around it, the physical look of it, the way that he fights, the animation in this episode, aside from what they will talk about it, I love all of it. No other shonen transformation is as good or will be as good for me. The One Piece fans are like, guys, we have to compare it to other stuff. Just no.
We have to be. Hey, have you ever heard of the phrase?
I love it more than Super Saiyan. I love it more than Deku going nuts mode, right? I don't know. I haven't seen My Hero. I don't know. I love it more than Gon going. I'm going to eat your face off. I'm killing you. I don't care. To funny twink cat, right? That's kind of a different thing. I love it more than Asta going. I'm mad and edgy, but I'm not. Everyone's catching stray bullets today. I love it more than any of that stuff.
Everyone.
But I'm not going to sit here and say, look, like I can explain my thoughts as to why I like it better than those and like why I think that it's better than those, but I'm not going to demean the other ones. I mean, I kind of did. But that was funny. That was funny. But it was funny.
It was funny. It was funny.
It was for the bit. It was for the comedy. People who the One Piece fans who go out and are like, guys, this is literally better than Super Saiyan in every single way, and it clears, and Super Saiyan is trash. No. But then, on the other hand, you got the Dragon Mid fans coming out in droves for this. Can you tell which side I'm on? Look,
can tell.
Look, I'm not taking sides because I think that both sides are insufferable, and I hate the discourse around it. And I'm like, can't I just watch funny pirate show man go, ha ha ha, funny man laugh, right? You got the Dragon Ball fans that are like, Gear 5 is literally the worst thing ever, and Super Saiyan is far better in every single way than it. Look, we'll talk about funny Super Saiyan, and we'll talk about funny Gear 5, right? We'll talk about them. But both sides of the discussion are insufferable, right? So,
I just want to throw this out there. I kind of think of that phrase, comparison being the thief, or comparison is the thief of joy, where like
just want to watch my funny pirate show.
Well, not even that. I want to like get into like a little bit deeper into this, and maybe we could like save this topic for later. But like, I kind of want to get into like, just because one thing, and I know we're a little hypocritical here when we say this because like we shit on Demon Slayer and other stuff for comparisons, but like,
look, but that deserves it.
It does deserve it. We will talk maybe about Demon Slayer because I have a lot of feelings to vent about it, but this isn't the episode for it. But with like just because a new piece of media or something, like just because new things exist, that doesn't immediately invalidate the old. But inversely, a love of older things and nostalgia toward them doesn't mean that the new stuff is like, you can't deny the quality. It goes both ways is what I'm trying to say. We could talk about that after the episode discussion because I feel like that's like a bigger, broader discussion. But just want to preface it by saying, because I'll be a bit more neutral here, both sides are in fact insufferable. I do think Gear 5 is better. I'll throw down that gauntlet. I'll throw it down. But I think both sides are just insufferable in this argument. Like it ultimately doesn't matter. Like Ichigo's transformations, Naruto's, Asta's, Gon's, all the other funny shonen protect. Like everyone else has theirs, and when those got adapted, like I assure you, I feel like a lot of Hunter x Hunter fans were just so happy that to see Togashi's Chimera arc adapted, and they were so happy to see Gon's transformation. It's a really good scene. I'm not going to spoil it for other people, but I don't recall ever hearing. Granted, I wasn't there at the time it aired, but like I don't ever recall hearing many people have to try to like dick measure their favorite series against others by saying, "Oh man, Gon's is just better than insert transformation here." That's a dumb, stupid way of doing it, and I think it's possible to compare and contrast Gear 5 to other transformations while still ultimately realizing that like other transformations are still good, and just Gear 5.
Or like good in their own way, right?
One Piece, we wouldn't have Gear 5 without the labor that other previous transformations did. Like One Piece being inspired by other older series. We wouldn't have what we have now. I think it's important to recognize because you can have fair critical discussion, but there's a threshold that you can cross to the boundary of fucking obnoxious annoyance, and I think One Piece fans and Dragon Ball fans have both crossed it. But before we talk more about that later, maybe. Let's just talk about the episode. Let's talk about Gear 5 because as a big Gear 5 head, big gear head, me. I have a lot I want to say on the episode. I know that you do too. It was a good adaptation with some strings attached.
The comment that I saw, and I mentioned this to you, Kyle. I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
Someone said this episode is Toei's best and Toei's worst, like the best of Toei and the worst of Toei. Back to back to back to back to back to back. Overall, I loved the episode. I had a blast watching it. I had a blast rewatching it.
It was great watching it with Brandon. I had a lot of fun too. But like I told my friend,
that doesn't mean that I particularly enjoyed the Hiyori.
I DM'd one of my friends who is like doesn't. He knows at One Piece, and I said easily pick fiction, but with a slight catch of friends of being a 10 out of 10. He said, "What's the catch?" I said it was made by Toei. Because that's ultimately the catch here of we got really good stuff and really bad stuff. So shall we just try to get into the episode discussion? Like talk about the end of 1070 and then 1071.
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy. I loved the end of 1070. Getting to hear the drums of liberation, I was very happy.
With Zunisha
laying down the sick drum beat, bro.
Yeah, Zunisha, Nami being like, Luffy, please, like you gotta fight.
It was interesting framing of that, where in the manga, it wasn't framed to where like Nami said that right before Luffy woke up. But
yeah,
here, it definitely was framed like Nami awoke in Gear 5. And so the question is that Oda intentionally? But like the way that it's framed, like that's an assumption you can make, and like that assumption is nowhere in the manga. It's just it's an interesting thing of like
directorial.
Why do they do it that way?
Yeah, I don't like. I'm going off the manga. Like it's just the drums of liberation. It's Luffy like getting up and fighting again. I don't think. I mean, again, the anime made it it really made it seem like it was Nami, and I've read like tons of threads on people trying to be like, oh yeah, no, 100%. Here's like my entire college essay thesis as to why that is the case. If it is, cool. I don't think it necessarily is, but like it plays a part, but not the part.
Yeah, but I loved it. And then Beginning of this episode, we get to see Gear 5 fully awakened.
Gear 5 awakens. Ooh, what a good fucking
it's
scene.
badass. I love it.
I wait to see it 2 more times throughout the episode, Brandon.
We don't see this 2 more times. Yeah, so it awakens, and we get like the 5 elders talking about it. Cool. We get some neat little background animation of Luffy doing stuff, and they're like, it's the most ridiculous power. It's the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. Cool. You know, the funny, big, cool reveal, right? Okay, cool. Awesome, right? Sick to see Peter, dropping some sick beats, that kind of thing. And we get to see Luffy, he's chilling. And then after the 5 elders goes, and we see Luffy, he's chilling. And he's doing the same stuff that we saw with the 5 elders talking. And it's like, well, I mean, it looks phenomenal, right? I love it. Fun to watch. And then it cuts to commercial. And then we come back, and then it's like, and Luffy's just chilling. And we get to see some stuff. And I'm even like, it looks phenomenal, right? And it's like, did I just watch this 2 times?
3 times.
Isn't it the 3rd time I'm watching?
Oh, and then also we forgot to mention the worst part of the episode was the Hiyori cut with Orochi, because that happened before the commercial break.
That was, dude. That did happen. So, that's right.
2 out of 3 bad offenders.
You're entirely accurate, bro. I'm a fake fan.
Accurate? That's so true.
Dude.
Yeah. So we got the Hiyori scene. I'll take the mic. Cook, spit, do what you will with it, Brandon.
It's in the manga, right? It's pages in the manga that take up space from this chapter, right? Yes, you have to adapt it. It's got to be there. Why is it that long? I don't care. I'm watching this episode for funny Gear 5, right? I get that that's got to be there. I get that it took up X amount of pages in the manga. What? Yeah, it's too long. Why is it? I don't care. I want to see Funky D Goofy. I want to see Funky the Goofy go around and swing Kaido like Mug's Bunny. I want to see that. Why am I watching Orochi? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about it. I don't care about Hiyori. I don't care about characters. I don't care about plot progression. I want to see Kaido get his ass yanked.
It's like a Dragon Ball fan.
I do.
I don't care about plot. I don't care about characters.
I don't care. Get a load of this guy. If the fight's not interesting, he doesn't like it.
I'm throwing straight bullets to Dragon Ball fans. I hate those guys. Anyway.
That's so true. No, Kyle, no. I'm the One Piece fan in this discussion. You're the Dragon Ball fan.
No, I don't want to. I want to be bad cop and bad cop.
Bad cop and bad cop.
So, the Hiyori scene, like to just reiterate what Brandon said, it's important. It's like, because again, that's what leads to like the castle lighting on fire and all that, and it's like it's a character moment for Hiyori. The castle's
already on fire at this point.
But like the fire's coming up, but like for an episode all about Gear 5, these other characters sure will not shut the fuck up.
Look,
and I don't mind it existing, but it shouldn't have taken up as much. It was just so slow too. Just Hiyori sitting there like, like playing the thing that she had.
The director was like, guys, we need to fill up minutes. We don't have interesting content this episode.
We don't have anything to work with.
This chapter has no content, dude.
We have to pad out the runtime, and that like the problem with it being Toei, and then the reused animation 3 times. Oh god, my head hurts just saying that.
Like 3 times. It looked phenomenal. Why am I seeing it 3 times? I should be seeing it 3 times when I rewatch the episode 3 times because I'm showing all my friends and family Funky the Goofy. So you should read One Piece.
So viewer chance, if you will. I watched One Piece all the way through. I caught up to, or it was around like the 960s range, I think, when I caught up, and I swapped to the manga. I watched the anime. Brandon's a full manga reader. Trust me when I say, I'll say this.
I got Kyle into reading the manga because I was like because it was right before Gear 5 was revealed or something. I was like, Kyle, you're gonna want to catch up. I was like, you're gonna get spoiled. You're gonna get spoiled if you don't catch up.
But I'll say this. This stuff is nothing new with, like, it really does feel like putting on an old glove, and it's a glove filled with spikes. Like, nothing about the directorial stuff. Like the animation can be better, right? But it's all the direction is super important. I mean, look at Jujutsu Kaisen's episodes, for example. They do like what One Piece and Dragon Ball episodes like wish they could do with like you actually, using content and not trying to like pad out shit and just like stretch things thin to make more episodes, make more money. Like the episodes that are coming out of Jujutsu Kaisen, they're high quality, they're like chock full of content. They don't pull any of that stupid shit. At least that I realized. And again, this stuff is prominent in many old ones. I was there in the trenches of Dressrosa, right? I watched all 148 episodes of it, guys. It was bad. I was there when Pika stomped with his like left foot and they cut to his right foot hitting the ground and with the same shockwave 8 times. I was there. The problem is that it's happening in an episode about Gear 5.
Yeah. Like it's got to be here because it's the adaptation of 1044. It doesn't have to be that long. You don't have to spend that much time on it, right? Look. Okay, there's some stuff, right? People online have been like, look, you guys got to understand. It's a weekly. It's like Saturday morning cartoons, right? Okay, sure. One Piece is like a Saturday morning cartoon. This is important.
Yeah.
Why? Why did they let that fly? And stuff we'll talk about later with funny flashback. Why did they let that fly in this episode? Because I mean, you look at other like great One Piece episodes. The two that come to mind is the end of Zoro versus King, which was phenomenal and I loved. And Amazing. Then you have 1015, which is the adaptation of chapter 100, which is when Luffy goes up to the top.
Chapter 100.
No freaking way. Big fan. You got those.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, right? Those are good. They each adapt a chapter each. I'm relatively certain, but they don't feel like it. Like, sure, maybe they feel a little bit slower than other series, right? Than other anime, but at the same time, you like add imaginative stuff, right? Like you can extend a chapter to an episode. Right? On one hand, right, why are you so scared of adapting more than that, right? I understand, right? You don't, you want to keep the anime behind the manga, I get it, right? You don't want to have to deal with filler, I get it, right? I understand. You can stretch a chapter to an episode imaginatively because we know that because they've done it. The problem is they didn't bring in the directors that did that. They brought in a director that is apparent, and here I am.
They brought in their D game.
Talking out of my ass right now, because this is just stuff that I've read on Reddit. But they brought in a director who's apparently known for lots of flashbacks and horrible pacing when it doesn't matter. And they, for some reason, brought him in on I think objectively, probably the most important episode of One Piece. I don't think that's an exception to say.
I don't think that's a huge stretch. That's like a top 5 episode, basically.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm
easily
thinking. Ace's death.
Spoilers.
Maybe 10-15, right? Adaptation of chapter 1000, 10-15 is a big episode. But it's like why? It's just okay. So
they pulled out their D game here for an episode that needed like an S tier or A tier director.
Well, and that's the thing that's frustrating about it is because the stuff that is Gear 5 is phenomenal.
Really good. It's really good. Like
the awakening of Gear 5 is so cool. The thing that we see 3 times is so cool. The sound effects, so cool. Everything is so cool, right? The fight against Kaido, so cool.
When Luffy recreates the meme of like grabbing the black kid by the neck, when he does that, so cool. When he like grabs Kaido and says "Yoink!" and pulls him up, like it's. Okay, side note. I know people complain about the sound effects. I didn't mind them personally. I think it adds to the vibe, and it's really funny. Like, just seeing Kaido get hit and having, like, the birds fly around. Like the Looney Tunes shit. Like,
the only sound effects I'll complain about is, like, the sound effects that they've used before this episode with One Piece. Where it's, like, the old, like, 90s Toei sound effects.
Using, like, Dragon Ball lightning effects. Like, that. Yeah. I was there.
They need to update those. But I think
the Gear 5 original stuff.
Yeah, no, like the funny, goofy sound. No, those are great. And that's what's so frustrating. So let's talk about more stuff. So you got all the Gear 5 with Kaido. Awesome.
Let's talk about something good for a minute here.
I love every second of it. The only thing that is somewhat iffy is whenever he gets the Bolo breath out, and it's the animation where you can't really tell what's going on. Right?
Can I talk about that for a sec? Because
Yes.
because this was Brandon's second time watching it. So this is another criticism here before we get to the other one of like flashbacks, and we'll get there. I agree with most of the criticisms on Luffy being over animated. Not like the majority of how he is, but like because like in Gear 5, it's awakening to enforced by him like beating his heart to continue. Like if he's a little like groggy off beat, and like moving around kind of wonky, and like they animate that funny, I think it adds to the vibe. I think it helps
goofy.
add to the moment.
Is he over animated? Sure, but like I think that it works really well.
That's over animated
in a
good way.
Yeah.
The scene that we're talking about, because in the manga, right? I'll explain it like this. In the manga, it's as simple like this. Kaido, after getting Looney Tuned around for a bit, it's like
mollywopped.
Mollywop doesn't even begin to describe it. He's like, all right, Bolo breath, and he shoots a blast attack. All Luffy does is he pulls up the ground, like the earth itself. The Bolo breath, it's kind of like if you had like a rubber band in like a cartoon with like a cannonball, where like it hits that rubber band, it stretches, and it shoots right back at Kaido. He does the thing where he's like charred and covered in black, opens his mouth, like pops up.
Yeah.
In the anime, really yeah, it was funny. However, I didn't know what was happening the first time I saw it because of just how over animated Gear 5 got. Like when he like was skadooling in the air and like flying around, he was just like whatever that shot was of him sitting on the wall going just like spinning.
Well, what that was is it was him trying to pull it up to reflect it back on the Kaido. But yeah, but it was so fast.
It was hard.
They got a little too goofy with it.
They got a little carried away.
And like, and Luffy, like, he skedaddles about and he does the funny face and then like his eyes shoot back into his head. Like just give just a couple more frames for it. And him going down, and the camera was so shaky. Like I get, it's funny, it's goofy, you got the energy of Gear 5. I mean, just be a bit more focused on it, really.
It was hard.
And I love, it's Luffy. Yeah, no, he needs to be. It's Gear 5. It's the most ridiculous power. It needs to be ridiculous. But that's like, that goes a bit ridiculous. It goes crazy, goes stupid,
It's okay, being ridiculous and being like One Piece, quite literally, has God knows how many gags in the past with stuff like this that have been viewable. And granted, this is Gear 5, this is different. But with Gear 5, that should have been viewable. I think it is. I would call it a negative thing that, I read the manga, but for a first-time viewer of the anime, if your viewer can't follow along with the action, I think you failed at directing it.
Yeah, and I'm not even mad at what Luffy did. Right?
No, because
it's just I couldn't tell what was happening. No,
I didn't know either.
But that was the only instance of that in the Gear 5 stuff. I love it. I think that it was adapted perfectly. Everything that was Gear 5 is the most ridiculous power. It's the power that he fights however he wants, and whenever he fights, he brings smiles to everyone. Dude, I was cracking up the entire time.
Me too. It was so fucking funny watching him play. It was great.
Kaido realized he's not built for this.
My favorite thing being when he gets the Bolo breath deflected. It's in DMs where it's just.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's that weird
It's the thumbnail. Outlining. It's gonna be the thumbnail. It's gonna be the.
Okay, it has to be. It's that shade. It looks like a mix of a painting and a drawing of
it's like what SpongeBob does on the impact frames when it just gets really real for a second.
And Kaido's eyes are huge because he's realizing he's not cut out for this, not built for this. And I think you should make it easy to follow along with. And then the only other major criticism is why did we get a flashback to the CP0 member? not only like did we get a flashback, right? I wouldn't mind if it was like 10 seconds of like re-showing. You know, I mean that happened in like what we had watched, or Jujutsu Kaisen, or hell, even like the new Maki season, where someone remembers something from the last episode, but they show like 10 seconds. That was like a full, longer than a
At least
minute.
a minute, yeah.
Of just showing, even if it wasn't, it felt like it. God, that felt like a long time.
I think it
Of
was.
just
I mean, it's
the
just
entire ending of that, and like Kaido with like the whoa, no way face, and like the CP0 guy grunting, and Luffy like falling. Like, we didn't need all that again.
no.
I don't mind you showing it a little bit, but we didn't need it to be that long.
You know, like, okay, Saturday morning cartoon, give the viewer 10 seconds, right? Give them 10 seconds to see Kaido doming this kid, right?
Yeah,
it's like
kids aren't stupid. Just because it's a Saturday morning cartoon, that saying like they need to see all that is
and then at the same time, Saturday morning cartoon. This isn't Pokemon episode 1 billion, 5 million, whatever, where Ash goes and catches Penis Mon, right? No one cares. No one cares about that. This is Gear 5. This is, and I don't think I'm wrong in saying this, the biggest shonen transformation since Super Saiyan.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm wrong in saying that it is the biggest one since then. This is
if you want to phrase it differently, this is like one of the biggest of the modern shonen. You know, it's older,
I'd say it's the biggest of the modern shonen ones.
Like transformations, like this is huge. This is a huge moment, and I think
moment, not just for One Piece, but like just in anime. I would say.
I think when Toei sat down and blocked out all the noise, and they just focused on doing Gear 5 justice. By God, they did. I don't even want to. Viewers who sat through the anime too, I don't even want to conceive in a world where Gear 5 was adapted during the Dressrosa / like early to mid whole cake style animation. That it would never have broken the internet simply because like the animation would have been dog ass. So like they're doing it justice here, but the problems that Toei just has internally ingrained bogged down the experience a little bit. Like I would call it a 9 out of 10 episode if the issues weren't there. Like if Hiyori's scene was shortened and the stuff with like the flashback were gone. If it were easier to follow
just a couple
with.
more frames.
If the 3 times Luffy did like the 30-second animation sequence were brought down to like, I don't know, 1, and they found another creative way to stretch out the minute by like adding more to the fight or adding more to like other things, I would call it a 10.
Spend more time looking at everyone's reactions to Luffy being awakened again.
Yeah, just do that. Like add more to you could add a little bit more, but it takes away from the main experience. And I think like that's important to recognize that like while Gear 5, Gear 5 as a concept, right? As a concept, Gear 5 is phenomenal. The adaptation really fucking good.
Oh, it was almost perfect. It was almost perfect. I mean, the adaptation of the Gear 5 panel itself was just I
love it when it started flashing the letters GEAR and like it just went through like a bunch of old moments, and then it was like Gia Fisu. And it just showed him.
And then you get just the insane, and it's just, oh my gosh. And we already talked about all the animation of Luffy just beating up Kaido. It's so good. It's some of my favorite anime that I've ever watched. Dude, when I was watching 1070 and the Drums of Liberation started, I got goosebumps.
I did too.
I was like, this is insane.
Joy Boy has returned.
It was great. Couldn't remember that part in Japanese.
What?
Can I remember the has returned in Japanese?
I don't know.
That's true. I thought they were going to Joy Boy. Has returned. I don't know. Yeah, it's
fake fan. Make fun of me.
I'm a fake fan. It's just this was a great episode. This was an episode I loved watching. I loved rewatching it. But it could have been perfect, and that's what's so frustrating about it.
I want to call it a 10 out of 10 so badly, but I can't bring myself to because of these internal problems with Toei. Because I have a friend, and we'll talk about Dragon Ball later, but he's a big Dragon Ball guy, and he said, like, a lot of what you're describing sounded similar to, like, a lot of what happened in Dragon Ball Super, specifically Tournament of Power, around the time when Goku got UI, like the permanent white-haired UI in the tournament. So like, it's not just a One Piece issue. It's a other like if you handed this
Toei does
content.
Dragon Ball too, right?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like that's why they're both like they have these issues. If you handed
Dragon Ball
this to,
fans
like,
and One Piece fans are in the same boat. Why are they fighting
Yeah.
each other?
literally, they're in the same pirate ship. But if you took Gear 5 and you handed it to like Mappa, Madhouse, hell, even A1, David Pro, so there are a lot of others. Like, what's the one doing Mushoku Tensei? Bind. You egghead. I like the egg bind. But if you gave this like series of chapters, you know, including the later ones too, or Gear 5 to like any other studio, I feel like you would get an experience about like it'll say like let's say like this. The same quality as what Toei gave us when they just focused on Gear 5 and it was good, and it would cut out a lot of the fluff. I feel like other directors and other people would realize, okay, we can't fuck around with this. We shouldn't fuck around with this.
Let's be fair. I think part of the reason the animation was so good was because Toei was able to bring in all the animators that did it.
True. All right, let me rephrase that. Assuming the other studios,
it is, in my opinion, purely a directional issue here.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. If these other studios had the same raw animation talent, you hand it off, then it feels like the directors. Like I'm just imagining, like knowing how like JoJo's direction went. Like imagine like the same like attention to detail and like amazing direction of stuff like that, or other series like how Mushoku Tensei has been directed. You give that to like a better director, it would be a lot smoother. And that ultimately is like the root of the problem, the direction with this episode. Because again, when it was Gear 5, when it was Luffy versus Kaido, when it was I'm getting cooked right now, it was great. It was amazing. It was
some of the best anime I've watched.
I described this as like a 5-star restaurant dining experience with like the minor issues adding up. Like maybe you get the wrong drink, maybe like your food's slightly undercooked or something. They bring it back to the kitchen, they cook. Sorry, that's a weird metaphor, but like the experience overall isn't horrible. Like what you paid for, what you got was really good, but everything else does add up, and it does.
It's like the best steak you've ever had, but it's just slightly too done.
Yes.
But it's like, I mean, it stops it from being the perfect steak, and it's so disappointing because I know it could have gone there.
It could have been the perfect. The cook, the director of my food, slightly overdid it.
That's true. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about Gear 5 versus Super Saiyan?
Oh boy,
It's the discussion, right?
Let's do it up.
Funny discussion. Okay,
let's do it up. Okay, so
we're